overactive genealogy determines the direction of the day.
Too much talk about nothing. Hello, children of the lawn. Happy Thursday to you.
Hey there, kids. We got a good one for you today. We're throwing back. In fact, this is not even really us. What you're listening to is us like a year ago.
That's why we children of the lawn then.
Yeah. No, they're the children of the seeds. They were children of the weed and feed.
They were the hay seeds.
No. Never.
Brenda is making
children.
a road trip. She's going to Jersey to see Blue Oyster Cult and her sister. So safe travels, Brenda.
Yes, say hello to Buck if you see him. I don't know if they're doing a meet and greet, but say hi to Buck for me and Lori. And I don't think Chasm's playing with him, do you?
No, I don't think so.
Danny's probably playing with him. So say hello to Danny Miranda, the bass player.
Mm-hmm.
And, that ought to get it done for you.
There you go.
Get it done for me. Yeah. So,
we have a funny show today.
Oh, man, yeah, we do. Oh, wait a minute. I'm feeling it. Here it comes.
Steve was editing it down because it was like...
What's that?
An hour and 45 minutes long.
No, it's 2 hours.
2 hours.
45 minutes long. Put me in a room with another drummer and it's a problem.
But we were laughing.
We were laughing.
While he was editing it up.
Because what I have to, I have to put it into my movie making program. And, I you don't want to cut him off in the middle of a good thing. Thankfully, in the middle of a good story, but thankfully Lori remembers a lot of these probably better than I do because
I have a good memory.
Yeah, and I'm whacked. So.
We're not going to hold that against you.
No, you can't. Well, no, you can hold it against me. No, you can't.
You have so many other good things about you.
We'll hold it against them too. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, Abe is great. And this is a funny show, and I'm glad we're doing this. And let's see. There was something else. Oh, okay. Remember yesterday I told you I was looking for a certain mix that was on a DAT tape, and I started combing through like hundreds of, and I got like really kind of.
And you found the CDs. You told them that.
Right. Well, I was listening to the CDs today.
Yeah.
And this shit is brutal.
I've never heard John talk this much in his whole life. And you can understand everything he's saying. You can
understand. Well, we had the universal translator from Star Trek on him. But yeah, you can understand. And
he's having fun at this show.
He is. And there's so much material. And I'm not saying anything, just take it easy. But there's so much material, especially concert material, that we may have to think about a volume 3.
Oh.
Because there's a lot.
Did you tell the record company this?
I actually did tell the record company this.
Yeah?
I wrote to Charlie this morning and said, where is he?
That would be Charlie Cowell.
Yeah, Charlie.
Keyboard player for
Angel.
That's
right.
Yeah,
that's a good guy to have running your label, and
that's
Bruce.
Right.
But I sent it to Charlie. I'll tell you what I wrote to him.
And we've had him on the show before.
I wrote, "We're gonna need a bigger boat." Or volume 3. Holy shit! The last night of the first leg of 2001, A Bass Odyssey tour at BB King's, everyone was killing it. And so my official response was, "We might have to."
Well, Michael Newton says yes for volume 3.
Man, let me tell you what.
5 after.
What?
You know what that means?
Nah, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean that? No, because we could just reverse engineer it. We could just go at 10 after. Yeah, and you got it. Abe's, this is 2 hours, and I think it was one of the longest shows we ever did. And
I think David Prater was the longest.
Well, yeah, because that's still going on. We're still doing that one over there. Yeah, he was the longest.
Yeah, he was.
But Abe, man, first of all, the guy's a monster player.
Yeah.
Props no matter what. Guy is he's just, if you want the big fat groove, Abe's got it. Big. And the interview actually opens up with him It's one of the last videos that we showed because we weren't going to get busted for it because it's
Rob
not-
Thomas.
No, it's not Rob Thomas. I think this is Diana Ross.
Oh.
Whoever, he tells a story about it. I don't remember whether it's I don't know. But the guy, he's played with a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he tells a story. Well, anyway, here, listen to it. And,
We'll see you at the end of it.
yeah, well, I don't know. We may check in the middle. We'll check in. Because you'll get the little fireball
Well,
and you'll know that segment's over.
Yes. And we're going to be here watching it with you guys. So.
Yeah, you lying bitch.
I'm not lying. I got to answer them if they write
No, you
something.
do. No, listen, it's funny, man. I mean, first of all, this guy should write a book.
I said he is. You'll hear what I said.
We should we should all get together and do the encyclopedia of WTF.
Abe Vogel, man.
Man, he's the real deal, and he's a great guy, and just, a total pro, and the kind of guy you want to call a friend, and the kind of guy you want to have in your band, and the kind of guy that you want to have on your show.
That's right. So, Abe Vogel.
Abe Vogel. Here we
Take
go,
two.
kids. Watch this. See, that's a little fireball I was telling you about. And that's how that is done, ladies and gentlemen. That is how that is done. If you care to do that, that is what it is. And yes, you funky soul. When you did the triplet thing, the one I mimed, because you had been going there. You did the triplet thing, it was, and I could see the theme starting to come up. And when you did that and then flammed it out at the end, I was like, a painting.
I tell you, that was one of my most fun solos. I had such a blast. I mean, because it was at a place that I love playing. It was at Paradiso in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and I absolutely love that venue. Every time I've been there, I've fallen in love all over again.
Who was that with?
That was with Beth Hart.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't recognize. I was kind of. I was taken by the drummer. Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Oh man, and I'll tell you what. I looked closer, and the bass drum dude, you're making that bass drum pay.
Well, it's the odd thing about that is it's the first time that I've played on a 24-inch bass drum.
Really?
Yeah. For the most part, I'm an 18, 20, and a 22 kind of guy, depending upon the circumstances, depending upon what the gig is calling for and stuff. But that was the first time and only time really that I played on a 24-inch gig.
And is it a 16 or a 14?
24 by 16.
Okay, because my thing was I started on the typical Slingerland 20-inch kit. And then my fives, the kit that I showed you earlier, were 14 by 24s. I was just looking at them today, and I was looking at how skinny the bass drums looked for the diameter. It's weird.
Right.
And so now I'm on 16 by 22s, and I love it. It's perfect for me.
Yeah, that's my vibe all the way. I mean, I'm a big fan of the 22s, but when I do small gigs and I do wedding gigs and stuff like that for cartage purposes, I have a 20 as well. I got a 20-inch kick. I got a 22 here in the studio. My touring kits are 22s. So I love the big boom that you can get, from a 22, and I just love the fire that you can put out.
It's fast.
In the air.
A lot faster than a 24. It's a lot
right.
And I asked you if you were using double kick, and obviously you're not. But when I've tried that DW 5000, that super fast thing, and it's so different than what I do with two bass drums. It has nothing to do with it. It's like just having an extra pair of hands on a bass drum. You know what I mean? Whereas when you do it on two kicks, it's like two different instruments, and it feels different, and it's
Sure.
But
sure.
I was amazed, bro. I mean, I was watching you throw down, and I was saying, yes. Why didn't I see this in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, that was actually a lot later. Because that tour happened in the one with Beth was 2013.
Ah, okay, yeah. So there you go. And all right. So tell me this, because I'm a fan of a drum solo. I've been guilty of doing one myself. How did the drum solo come into the set? Did you ask, or did they ask you?
Oh, no. It was contingent upon the tune being played. What particular tune that was. It's a tune by Beth, and the tune is killer too. The studio version of the tune is called Immortal.
Oh, Immortal. Okay, I think I know that track.
Yeah, the track is rocking. The track is rocking, and because when I was listening to it, I was kind of doing one of my exercises that it allows for me to learn a lot of music in a short period of time, because I only had 2 rehearsals with her. Next thing you know, we were on a plane to Rome.
Wow.
So it was that quick. Actually, how it went down was I had 2 rehearsals. After the second rehearsal, I caught a red eye to go back from LA back to New York to pack, and then I caught a flight from New York to Rome.
Oh.
Man.
And was gone for 2 months. So my so what I had to do is I had learned this before because I did the same thing shedding for Hot Tuna's gig. Because they don't rehearse.
No.
All right, they don't rehearse, and they handed me roughly 6 hours worth of music and said, "Here, learn this, and we'll make up set lists each night as we go along." So one of the things that I do, and hopefully this will help somebody else as well. One of the things I do is I do what I call subconscious shedding.
Yeah.
In that I'll take the music and turn it down to a barely audible level, and go to sleep with it on. This way, the music gets into my subconscious. While I'm sleeping, I'm hearing these tunes and they're filtering through my head, they're filtering through my psyche. I wake up the next day, I go about my business, and all of a sudden, I'm humming tunes that I didn't realize that I heard last night on this loop of music that continually goes around. You know, and I did that with her stuff. And I remember, I'm saying all this because I remember waking up on a flight. I was shedding her stuff while I was out working with somebody else. So I'm on a flight, and the beginning of Immortal starts, and then the tune kicks in, and it kicked in so hot, it kind of woke me up. And you know how you get that neck thing going when a tune has got you, and
I
you
know the neck
and
thing.
and you can't get out, and it's got you to the point where you start talking funny because you're losing your neck, and you're like, oh gosh, this is funky, you know. And that's what was happening to me on the plane.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing, you know. That's what I did to learn the tune. And one day in rehearsal, we never actually rehearsed the tune either. So sound check, she calls the tune, but we don't play it. And she says, I think tonight we're gonna do Immortal. This is like after the sound check is over. And I was like, well, could we have at least played it one time so I can paradiddle my way through it?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, oh, no, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just go listen to it. You'll be fine. And that's what I did. I listened to it again to remember the tune, to refresh it, to get it back into my brain and get it into my hands and feet again. She counted it off. We played it. I was taking cues from the MD, from the guitar player as we were going along. And then he turns and looks at me, and he does that world famous
Drum solo.
right.
You know,
And see, and me, I'm playing, and he does that. He goes drum solo, and I went like this.
Okay.
And then just went in. You know, I just went in and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
Great
And it was
solo.
so much fun.
Very nice. I mean, that solo in particular. I'm about the musicality of a solo. I appreciate what anybody does with their art. If you're a drummer and you are Mr. Rudiment or you're the fastest single stroke roll in the world, respect. I don't look down on any of that. Just not what I do. You know what I mean? My thing is my thing, and I think that's what makes me able to appreciate other people the way I do, other players, because I'm secure in what I do, and it's not, for so long it was that fastest gun in the West kind of thing,
Yeah, sure.
It's got to be to get you to the place. But when you get there, when you get to your place, I'm here. There's nobody else here but me.
Horn, so I'm gonna go back.
Toot that freaking horn! Toot that horn!
Thanks, man. It's just when I first started coming up, first hit the scene and stuff. My dad got me like a local teacher, so I was taking lessons from him. But then my dad saw that I was progressing, so he said, "Son, I need you to step your game up a little bit." So he decided to take me away from that teacher and put me at Drummers Collective.
Oh.
So, yeah, so
No
he
pressure.
puts me in he puts me in Drummers Collective, and the very first time they're trying to check out my level, right? So they check it, they put some charts in front of me, and they're like, can you read this stuff? So I'm trying to read it down, struggling a little bit, but they saw where I was going. They ended up putting me, again, Lord rest his soul, they ended up putting me with Kim Plainfield as my teacher, right? And it was absolutely wonderful because I learned so much from him about consistency, about playing two, not just two, but playing two and with a click.
Oh, okay.
You see things and things like that. He would tell me, bring in some songs that you'd like to play along to, and we'll make that a part of the lesson, and this and that and the other. So we would do stuff like that. And then one day he asked me, he says, "Do you have a metronome?" I said, "No, my dad can't afford," because it was a little tight. You know, times were tight and money was tight and stuff, you know. And I said, no, my dad can't afford one right now. He says, you really need to get yourself a metronome. So in the meantime, he said, because I believe in you, here, take my metronome.
Wow.
So, you know, and you know, it's one of those the black ones with the click, 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 click,
Yeah.
dial on the front and a little light on top.
You need the light, I need the light.
You know, and it worked. It worked wonderfully for me. So now, fast forward several years later, because this is probably early 80s when that happened. So we're fast forwarding to several years later, about 1991, 1992. I'm playing with Freddie Jackson, and we're in Aruba. We're doing like one of those festivals in Aruba, and we happen to be opening up for Tanya Maria. Now, who is playing drums for Tanya Maria? Kim Plainfield.
Wow.
So now, talk about the teacher doting over his student. Kim was on the side of the stage from my first note to my last note with a big Mayor McCheese grin on his face. To that right there. That one right, yeah, that one, that's my baby. That is my big, oh, nice lick. Oh, wow, that was hot. Oh, that was, and every time I did something, he'd smile. I came off the bandstand, and I think, I would say probably the only other people that may have hugged me harder were Elvin Jones and my dad.
Whoa.
Well, I came off the stage and I could have melted in his arms. He was like, wow, you are really amazing. And I said, I couldn't have done half of that stuff without you. And he's like, oh, get out of here. You would have found another teacher. You'd have been on your way and all that. And I said, no, Kim, you don't understand how important you are and you were to my life. So I just made it a point to keep reaching out to him. Hey, Kim, I'm going to be in the city for such and such. You're going to be around? Why don't you come on through? You know, that kind of thing. You know, I pretty much reached out to him. And then fast forward to a few more years later, roughly 2015, something like that. I was asked to go teach in Austria at this outreach. It was an outreach music festival. And I found out that I was subbing for Kim because Kim couldn't make it that year.
Wow.
So how's that, like, full circle?
Man, well, you know what? I've had so many moments like, not so many, but I've had moments like that, so I know what you're talking about. And my education experience, did you do the school thing, or you just did Drummers Collective? You didn't go to Berkeley or do that thing, did you?
Well, no, actually, I went to Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
I went to Rutgers when the program was like real
That's
hot.
a great music program at Rutgers.
Oh, yeah, because I went to Rutgers, and then, unfortunately, I had to leave school because school started getting in the way of my education. So,
yeah, I hear that.
You know, so I left and I took a semester off, and then that's when they started the jazz immersion program at the New School for Social Research.
I remember the New School.
Yeah, I was a member of the first class, the very
Wow.
the inaugural class there. So what I loved about that school was that Arnie Lawrence was the director, and to this day, I'll call him out anytime and give him credit for anything and everything that has to do with me and how well I feel about how I do what I do. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
He
the heck is
gets
this
funny.
thing?
He starts to get funny now.
See, stuff comes from outer space and it gets in the way of my light, which... I don't
Really? You
understand.
chimed in to tell everybody that?
Yeah. No, I just chimed in to let them know that we were still awake,
Yeah,
that we were still here.
We're
What?
welcoming our new viewer, Frankie.
Oh, yeah, Frank, welcome.
Frankie's
Please hang, you know,
sweetheart.
welcome. Tomorrow night, if you really want to get scared, pop in for, what is it? Free for All Friday.
That's what
You know,
we had.
I got to tell you, it's really fun doing this whole thing, and I love this Throwback Thursday thing because in the very beginning, and you know, pardon what did we do, Abe? He was like one of the first guys.
Yeah.
You know, I figured, how can I go wrong with a guy that I like, who's a monster player?
Yeah.
You know,
and Matt Beck's.
and great, yeah,
his
yeah.
friend.
So So the production value was not quite what it is now.
No, Steve had disappearing hair.
Yeah, disappearing hair. Was what? Where was I? In the studio, or was I in the
Studio.
See, that was before.
But no, you were, no.
I was
actually,
in
you were
the
in
ship?
here with a green screen because I was with you.
Yeah, but what was the background? It doesn't even
The
matter.
studio. You weren't in the
That's
spaceship.
what I mean. I didn't. I
Yeah,
meant.
we did him October 22nd
Oh, October 22nd
of
2020.
2020, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
To,
And the last time
Well,
I
I
saw
have-
Abe play was with Rob Thomas and whatchamacallit, Ryan Tedder's band. What's the name of that band? His band? Anyway, they were opening up and they were really, really good. And Rob's band was great, and you know I had two friends in the band, and I guess Abe didn't know I was going to be there, and here I'm sitting in the dressing room talking to Rob's manager, and he comes in and he just goes, "Oh my God, what are you?" And then I saw Matt and so on and so
Well,
forth. It was a
because-
great day. It was it was a lot of fun, and they're a great band. But here
And
comes.
Sue,
See
listen-
this? Did you see this thing?
what?
I don't know what that is. I'm looking at it, and I try to touch it, and it goes away.
Wow. What do you think that is?
Bullshit.
Bullshit?
Anyway.
What was it?
Yeah, that
Sue
was-
says it's fun to hear the older shows
Yeah, well, how'd
you-
you like to hear some more?
because he gets funny now.
Yeah, this does get funny now. He's. Oh wait, am I not in the right place? This was not supposed to do this.
He was
No,
getting serious
I
drumming
gotta find
before.
where we were. I gotta find
Now
where we
he
were.
gets funny.
To drag him off the bus, down into the subway, to get off the
No. I went
he
now.
jumped ahead.
First of all, let me tell you this. My parents were divorced. Oh, that's too
What are
bad.
you jumping ahead for?
I have no idea how we even got
And I
here.
remember
And I didn't know that was on there.
That my parents were divorced. I don't think.
Oh.
Is that a
Lynn
big
Purvis
secret?
is watching and says hello to you.
Hey, Lynn.
you know,
Well, I got.
you know,
Hang on. I got good news for you, man. I discovered some real rarities from the Entwistle archive, so put your helmet on. It's going to get serious. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Let's just see where we
Okay.
are.
what was
Back to
happening
Abe.
on
Yeah.
the plane.
On the plane. So we saw this.
And so,
Yeah.
so that's what I was doing, you know, that's what I did to
It would
learn
be
to
when the
do.
next
And,
fireball
you know,
comes
I
up.
just went in and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
Great
It was
solo.
so much fun.
Very nice. I mean,
Step the game up a little bit. So he decided to take me out away from that teacher and put me in Drummers Collective.
no, this is right. We saw this. I know, we saw
That
this.
right there. That one
Why are we
right there.
watching
That
it
one-
again?
That's my baby.
Here it comes.
That is my baby. Oh, nice thing. Oh, wow. Oh. And every time I did something, he'd smile. I came off the bandstand, and I think I would say probably the only other people that may have hugged me harder were Elvin Jones and my dad.
Whoa.
When
Yeah, that's a pair of
I came off
hugs.
the stage and I could have melted in his arms. He was like, wow, you are really amazing.
All right, so we're all right going from here or no? Do you want me to try to go forward and find it? Because I have no frickin' idea. I did all this clever editing and
I
now
know.
it sucks.
With your fireballs in
Oh,
the
my
between.
fireball! Jeez, you know. Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. All right.
Fireball.
Now, the rest of Abe's interview.
Yeah. In other words, you see, that's code for don't fuck with it anymore,
Don't.
Steve.
Leave it alone. I like the colors of your fireball.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you when it's over.
You have to take ear training and musicianship. You have to take history. You have to take improvisation. This and that and the other. Arnie pulled me into his office and he said, "Hey, what do you want to do with this music?" And I said, and what I said to him is, I said, I want to be the most versatile and the most consistent drummer on the scene. And if not on the scene, I want to be the most versatile and the most consistent drummer that I could possibly be. So then he's like, gotcha. So he puts me back in lessons I was taking lessons from Rod Morgenstein.
No,
I was
Rod.
taking-
Lefty. No?
Yes, right, yeah. And Lefty, so then at the collective, when we were playing together, it looked like I was playing in a mirror.
yeah.
Right? And I love that. I love that. You know, so he put me in lessons with Rod Morgenstein, with Ben Riley, with Michael Carvin and with Kim again as well. So he's like, you said you want to be well-rounded, I'm going to round you out. So it wasn't just one guy that was just showing me his technique, his way, his this, his that. And Arnie also had access to the various clubs in New York. So he would allow for his students to be able to go and be flies on the wall at these clubs while these heavyweights are in there. I'm checking out heavyweights at the Bottom Line. I'm checking out heavyweights at the Blue Note, at the Vanguard, and things like that. So it was just amazing to be shaped the way that he allowed for, because he checked me out. He was like, look, like I said, he said, what do you want to do? And I told him, and then I end up doing things like jamming with Mike Stern, jamming with Dave Liebman. I ended up singing for Christmas week of 1986 at the Blue Note with John Hendricks from Lambert, Hendricks and Ross.
Oh, wow.
I was singing with him, all because of all the things that they had us involved in. They had the students were involved in everything. The rock guys were coming in and playing funk. The funk guys were coming in and playing classical. The classical guys were coming in and playing jazz. So it wasn't the same type of situation where, if you will, you were controlled by academia nuts.
Yeah, don't I love it? It's very, that's, it doesn't surprise me that that's the way you came up. She said, don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so a little bit, I'm playing trombone in junior high school, and again, I decided I'm hanging out at my friend Petey's house. There's a couple of us hanging out, and his older brother's got his friends with him. So, his older brother says, okay, yeah, these guys are cool. There were 3 of us. These guys are cool. So he slips us a 6-pack of beer. Right, so it's like, whoa, okay, we done made big time now. We're big time. Oh yeah, we gonna get bombed now. Two beers each. 2 beers each. We're gonna be getting smashed, and we're gonna be wearing lampshades on our head, running around singing songs at the top of our lungs and stuff. Right. So I drank my 1 beer real slow because I didn't want to take any chances. I drank the 2nd beer, and I started getting a little tipsy, a little lightheaded. So I decided to go up to Pete's room and go and lay down on his bed. I walked into his bedroom, and he had a drum set next to the bedroom. Next to his bed, excuse me. Drum set next to his bed. So the first thing I said to myself as I looked at the drum set is I picked up the sticks and I said, let me see what I can do differently with each limb. And ended up coming up with a pseudo disco beat. It was just 4 on the floor, 2 and 4 on the snare, and 8 notes on the hi-hat, right? So that's different with each limb. And I don't know, instinctively I learned to hold the hi-hat closed with my left foot, right? So now I'm talking about boom, catch, boom, catch, boom, catch, boom. And the minute I said boom, catch, boom, catch, okay. Boom, catch, boom, right? So I kept it simple. The next day I begged my dad. I was like, Dad, can I have a drum set? Dad, can I have a drum set? Dad, can I have a drum set? And Dad was like, well, you better get out of here with that nonsense. I'm not trying to hear you right now with a drum set. Stop talking that nonsense. I was like, okay. 15 minutes later, Dad, can I have a drum set? Dad, can I have, Dad, can I have, can I have
a drum set?
Right. He's like, you want to play these drums, huh? Because, see, now here's the thing. The reason why he came at me like this, and I didn't find this out until a little bit later, till we had that 4.5-hour, 5-hour conversation about music, he and I. My grandfather played 7 different instruments. I didn't find this out until a little bit later. And I didn't know this. 4.5. It was like, grandfather, he played harmonica, guitar, and I didn't know this. Violin, it was like upright bass, he sang, and he played guitar. So, he was that, Grandpa was the bomb diggity.
DNA, man, DNA.
He had it going on, right? So, he's like, my dad's like, are you serious about this drum set stuff? Don't be pulling my leg about this, because you don't know how deeply I go down that rabbit hole. This is how he's coming at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, Dad, 6 drums and rock and roll. Let's go. Yeah, Dad. He's like, slow your roll. If you are serious about this, have a seat. You and I have to talk. So I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's talk. 6 drums and rock and roll. Yeah, come on. Let's go. 6 drums and rock and roll. Let's go. He's like, you need to calm down with all of that.
You need to calm down.
Right. Because he said, in order for any of that to happen, you have to put in some work. Okay? And he said, one of the first things you need to understand about playing, not only playing drums, but playing music in general, is that you're going to be spending hours upon hours practicing something that you love that somebody else may not even give you respect for. So you are going to have to understand that your devotion and your dedication to this is going to be yours and yours alone. If you are
Pop's
still
had
down
some
for
vision,
it,
bro. Pop's had some vision. I'm
indeed.
impressed.
Indeed. I got another story for you about my
Wow,
pastor
bring it.
with
That's why we're
with his
here.
vision and everything, right? So, so we're sitting down and he's like, one of the things that you have to remember is that technology is such to the point where they can replace you as a drummer with a machine. They don't even have to call you. They can get a machine. Now, the machine may play perfect time, but it may not play human emotion time, but it'll play perfect time. So sometimes they're just as happy with that. But as a drummer, what you have to do is you have to see to it that the producer calls you back and does not call Matt Hine. Right? Right? So then he said, on top of that, you have to not just be a drummer, you have to be a musician. You will gain a whole lot more respect behind that kid and how you do what you do if you are a musician and not just a drummer. He says, I know a lot of drummers out there, but not a lot of drummers are musicians. And I would prefer that you be a musician that happens to have drums as the main instrument.
That's why I asked you, when you got on the drums at 15, what music there was before that. And it's interesting. You have the most polyphonic instrument there is in the piano.
Yes.
And then 2 monophonic in the recorder and
trombone.
And the trombone. You've got embouchure for the trombone. You've got it's crazy. No valves and a slide, and then every little hole in the world on that. So that's why you're musical, because you hear that first. And
I tried to stay as musical as I possibly could. And I think a lot of it had to do with my teachers as I advanced, because there were one of my other teachers, Michael Carvin. Michael Carvin showed me how my life is music, and how music is my life, and how life is music. Life is my music, and music is my life.
Right.
My life is music, and life is my music. Any one of those permutations. He showed me that because one great. I was hanging out with my lady when I was in college. Hanging out with my lady for the weekend. We went to the beach, and it was, nice and warm and stuff like that. So, we went down to the shore. We came back. My lesson was on Monday. So Michael Carvin tells me, he says, so, what'd you do this weekend? I said, well, I was hanging out with my lady, and we went down to the beach, and, I made her some dinner and stuff like that. And we had a great time together. So he's like, great. Play me that. Right? So I looked at him kind of like the way you ask a dog a question, and the dog goes,
Yeah.
And he's like, play me that. Because I want you to understand how all these things that you have involved in your life are integral to what it is and your musical experiences. So these things you're gonna find out how one and the same a lot of these things really are.
Yeah,
And that had a lot to do with like what my dad was saying too. I don't want to go on too much more, but my dad is one of my heroes.
First of all, let me tell you this. My parents were divorced before I remember, and my dad made the trip to the West Coast. I didn't have any relationship until later in my life, which is not, it's kind of like being born blind. It's, and at the end it was good, but I respect and honor that thing between your dad and you, because that's, there's I don't want to say I envy it because that would be wrong. My life is mine for mine to live, but I respect it and I absolutely honor it because that's a pretty righteous thing to have in one's life. So.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. See now thank you, and thank God for him too. So. I'm glad God jiggled the spoon a little bit and put me in this little mix and come out with these two folks as my mom and dad to shape me.
That's good, man.
Amen to that, and all glory be to God for that.
Amen.
I tell you, another great story about my dad. I always love sharing this story. Okay, now remember I was telling you my dad couldn't read a note the size of the state of Texas, but he could tell you if you didn't play something with conviction or if you played a wrong note. Reason why a lot of that had to be, or the reason why a lot of that was because before I was born, my dad used to go. He used to go to the clubs in New York after his shift at work, or he would get the guys to punch him out, and he would sneak out of work and go and check out these cats at the Vanguard. Check out.
Pay close attention to this one, kids. If you're listening, listen close. This is as cool as it gets.
The Blue Note, the Village Gate, when the Village Gate was around, all those clubs, and up on 52nd Street, and all those clubs back in the day. So he would do that so often. Oh, and back in the day, this is when last call was when the last guy at the bar got tired of drinking.
Yeah, I believe you. I know so, that day.
Right, last call was 5 a.m. For, and at the end of the set, it's 5:30. So my dad was there from first note to last note, and to thank the cats in the band, he would take them out to breakfast after the gigs.
Chicken and waffles.
Or whatever was there.
One of my favorites.
Whatever kind of oh my goodness, yes.
I don't mean to interrupt, but do you know the thing?
All right.
Do you know the thing behind chicken and waffles?
The story.
Now I don't know the story behind it. I know.
Oh, this is great. Think about what you just told me. They would take everybody out for breakfast, but most of the guys hadn't eaten dinner, so they created chicken and waffles so they could have a little bit of dinner and a little bit of breakfast.
Yep.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
And man, I love Roscoe's. Bring it. Another story.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No. Quite all right. So this is how my dad became friends with Miles.
Oh.
He became friends with Train. He became friends with Monk. He became friends with Sonny Rollins and all of these cats, right? So, and Elvin and Buddy Rich and all these. These are my dad's friends.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, Dad told me a story. He says, this is before I was born. He told me a story. Miles, because he exchanged phone numbers with Miles. And Miles called him up on a Sunday night and was like, "Hey, Al, what's going on?" My dad was like, "Hey, Miles, how you feeling?" "Oh, I'm cool. Listen, I'm going to be at the club this week, and I better see your ass at the club." And my dad was like, Don't worry, I'll be there. So my dad was there every set, every night, throughout the whole, the whole Tuesday through Sunday.
Sure.
At the clubs, right? So, I don't remember if my dad said it was a Friday night or a Saturday night, but it was sold out, standing room only, the club was packed, and my dad was sitting at a round table by himself nursing a Pepsi because he really didn't drink, right? So the club owner came over to my dad and said, "Hey, look, you see we got standing room only, place is sold out. You're sitting at a big table by yourself. The least thing you can do is just order some liquor." My dad was like, "Okay, no problem. And if you want to sit some people at the table with me, I have no problem with that. It's no problem at all. And I'll order some liquor, So, just a sidetrack, I have to digress. One of my favorite Miles' bands was playing. One of my favorite Miles bands was playing that night. It was Miles, Train, Wynton Kelly on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Philly Joe on drums.
Philly Joe Jones.
Yes, sir. So.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Holy
the so my dad's there every set, every night. Again, I don't know if it's Friday night or Saturday night. The club owner comes over to my dad, and he's like, "Look, at least you can order some liquor or something like that." So my dad's like, Don't worry. First set goes by. The middle of the second set comes up, and the waitress comes over, and my dad orders another Pepsi. She storms away and goes and tells the club owner. The club owner comes stomping back over to my dad, and the cats are up there burning, You know, the band's there burning. They're doing it. They're getting it in, right? So he comes over to my dad, and he starts screaming at my dad. He's like, that's it. MF, I told you. I told you have to order some liquor. Now, not only do you have to get up from the table, you got to get the F up out of my club. Ooh. Miles came up to Miles did like this, said, the band said, he walked up to the little ribbon mic that was there. He said, hey, you leave that mofo alone. If he got to go, I got to go. Oh. And the club owner backed up off my dad like this, and Miles said, "We baby, and the band jumped in like they didn't miss a note, like they never stopped, like nothing even happened."
Wow.
See now,
that's a story.
That's well, you got to realize too, man. What is it that Miles wanted more than anything in this world? What is it? What is the one thing that Miles wanted more than anything in this world? And we can go back and forth, but it's for somebody to listen. Ooh, somebody to listen. You see, that's true. It's what we all want, is somebody to listen.
That's right.
You know, if there, there's nobody.
Hear us, people?
For a while, it's cool, to play on your own, play alone, but it's not that kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, okay,
no matter if you're playing or talking, you want somebody to listen.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, okay. You do, don't you?
Back to Abe.
Okay, Abe, here we go. I like my little fire thing.
I mean, I'm one of the other things, again, with my dad. I said, because I said, he had finally bought me this $35 drum kit, right? So he bought me a drum kit. It had a kick drum. The drum kit was by a company called Tempro. I don't know if you remember Tempro.
I do remember Tempro.
Right.
Was it red? Was it that red fake oyster pearl?
No, it was not that, because somebody who had it before me ripped the coating off of it, so it was just wood painted a dull gold.
Whoa!
Okay, that's what they did to the kit, right? So it was a kick drum and a rack mount, a mounted tom that was racked onto the kick drum, and a rod that had a cymbal on it
coming out of the bass drum.
Yeah, coming out of the bass drum, and when you hit the cymbal, it didn't go like a crash cymbal. You hit it, and it would go bam, bam. You say bam.
It was a horrible thing.
Right. So I wore the nonsense out of that kit. So one day I said, Dad, I got a friend of mine who's selling a whole bunch of drums, and I wanted to know if you would help me pay for these drums. He said, well, how many drums is it? I said, Dad, it's a boatload of drums. It was like 3 bass drums, 2 snares, like 4 or 5 toms, 2 floor toms, cymbals, stands, everything. It's like, a young rock and roller's dream, And he's like, I told him there's a whole lot of stuff. And he's like, well, how much does your friend want for the kit? And I said, he wants $400 for everything. My dad paused and said, well, I suggest you get your ass out there and get you a job to make that $400 so you can go get that kit.
Yeah.
And my whole thing was like, come on, Dad, you have a job, you have money, you pay for the kit.
I'm your son.
I'm just a kid. I'm not supposed to be dealing with work or nothing but it was one of the greatest lessons in responsibility that I ever had, coming from him or in general or from anywhere, okay? So I went out and got myself a little telemarketing job, calling up information across the country and getting phone numbers for people, so for this company that I was working with.
Wow.
So I did that for about 6 or 7 weeks. I did it for a while. So I'm about 7 or 8 weeks in, and it's one Saturday morning. And my dad says, so, how's it going with that drum set? I said, well, it's coming along. I've saved up about $200 so far. So, I got another 7 weeks or so, and I'll be able to save up another $200, and then I'll be able to get the drum set. Can I at least ask you for a ride to go pick up the drums? And, and he's like, yeah, okay. Just, hang on a second. You said you have $200 already? I said, yeah, I got $200, and in another 7 weeks I'll have the other 200, and then I'll be able to go get the drum set. He paused again. He said, call your friend and tell him we're coming over to get that drum set now.
Yeah, I saw that coming from. I know your
Right.
dad. Believe
You know him. You know him.
I know him. I love him.
and that's the kind of thing that he would do. He was my biggest fan. He would come to my gigs and pay me like he was my manager.
Wow.
Man, let me tell you what. That is.
And point out mistakes.
That's. But you see, there's a symbiotic dream in there too. I mean, you got to realize he knew Miles, he knew Bird, he knew Train, he knew all that, but he knew that he was not going to fly that plane. And
Right.
the best that he could do was to take the love and the passion and the knowledge that he had and hand it to you with some hard lessons. And look at you now, as Tony Montana would say, look at you now.
Right. And now, okay, talk about a humbling experience. Now, this again, as much as I love telling stories about my dad, because I've got a ton of those still. There's one particular story about another gentleman who I respect and appreciate, love, and admire so very, very much, without knowing whether or not I even heard him play a note. What I used to do is I used to live up the block from a bus stop. And because I didn't have a car, I would strap my drums onto my trap case and drag them down the street and put them on the bus to take them into the city to go to Port Authority, to drag them off the bus down into the subway, to get off at West 4th Street, to walk 4 blocks to the Village Gate to do jam sessions every Sunday. I used to do that. That was my assignment in school. That's what Arnie gave me as an assignment in school. So I was doing that every Sunday. Now, one Saturday night, I decided I was going to go and hang out with my friends Saturday night and already be in the city for Sunday, so it's less of a hump to get to the gig, right? So one Saturday night, I'm coming down the block, I have my drums and everything, and I'm standing out there waiting on the bus. I wave down the bus driver stops, the door opens up, and I said, hey, how you doing this evening? Is it possible I could use your Bay Area so that I could put my drums in your bus? He said, you got drums? And you're bringing them on my bus? And I say, yes, sir, I have no other way of doing things right now. And he says, okay, well, I tell you what. He says, I tell you what. Yeah, you can bring the drums on my bus, but you're going to take all your drums, you're going to take them all the way to the back of the bus. Take them to the back of the bus, and then when you're done loading up your last piece, come sit up front here, because I want to talk to you.
Huh.
This is what this man said, man. I don't know him from a can of paint.
No, you don't.
and this is what he says to me, right? So I got the last piece on the bus. Bus doors close, and we start taking off. And I come sit up in the front, in the passenger side front seat, right there. He said, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a drummer, and you don't have your own car to get around to get where you need to go. How does that look? How do you think that looks to somebody who's trying to hire you for a gig and you're going to show up getting off a public bus with your drums? If you had a flute, that would be a different story. But you have a drum set. A drum set. How do you think that looks? And I was like, I don't know if you remember that Flintstones episode where Fred Flintstone is sitting at the table and he's getting yelled at by all his executives, and every time he gets yelled at, it goes,
I can. Yeah, I certainly do. That would be at the quarry.
yes.
Right. Do we need to get the guy's name? Rocks.
Mr. Slate.
Mr. Slate.
Yes, Mr. Slate at the quarry, right? So he's ripping into me. This guy's ripping into me, and I'm like, okay, enough already. All right? And he says, listen, son, the reason why I'm telling you this is because you may not understand it right now. Somebody else, my dad said that to me too. He prefaced something by saying that as well. He said, you may not understand it now, but you will get a valuable lesson from what it is I just told you. You want to know why? Let me show you why. So he reaches over to his right, like a low glove compartment area, and pulls out a manila envelope and hands it to me. I open the manila envelope, and it's a black and white 8x11 picture of him standing there with a trumpet, and it said, Joe Dupars, of the James Brown Orchestra.
Wow.
He was driving a bus, okay? So, he was there for Cold Sweat and,
Wow.
he was there for all that. So this man, that man is schooling me.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I ended up saving my coins, saving my dollars, and I bought me a little hoopty. But I had a car, and then the next time I was just deciding not to drive into the city. I was just going to hang out in the city. So I went down and I flagged the bus, and surely enough, he was driving, and he was like, "Hey, young man, how you feeling?" I was like, "Hi, Mr. DuPars, how's everything?" On another side note, I actually went to junior high school and high school with his daughter and didn't even know it. Right? But I was like, "Hey, Mr. DuPars, how's everything?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I said, he said, "You doing all right?" I said, "Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I'm just riding the bus because I don't feel like driving into the city. But I took your advice and I bought my own car. So now I have my own car to get around to my gigs and everything like that." And he was like, "My man."
Wow, that's great.
That is great.
I'm glad you listened.
Your life is like a movie.
Yeah, man. You like the
Absolutely.
jazz Forrest Gump. Funky Gump. That's the name of our track. That is the name of our track. Funky Gump.
Funky Gump.
Well,
Funky Gump.
Funky Gump. There's that thing again.
He's so funny.
Look, right over here. What? See it? There it is. I don't know what it's doing.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. Funky Gump.
Funky Gump. He is some funny guy, man. And there's so much more to that interview that we just couldn't.
And you
get.
see, and here's the thing. This is if I ever make a point about anything about this show, that's the stuff and the stories. You don't get to hear that. I mean, that guy's never going to feel comfortable getting into a shop talk story like that with people who either don't know who, I mean, those are the rare conversations. And I tell you what, I, for one, miss them, terribly.
Gail said, "Bring him back."
I would love to bring him back. Let me tell you what. I spoke to Abe. I butt dialed him once from the driving range. He said that was one of the best butt dials I ever heard. I said, "Why? What was it?" He said, "All I heard was, shoom," or whatever the hell sound I was making hitting the ball. It was funny. He's such a good guy, and such a.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's just he's just
a
that.
big personality.
He's
big
like
talent.
Man, just huge.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to know him. So
we'll bring him back.
Yeah, we will bring him back.
He's got more stories, I'm sure. His life is like a movie. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's that thing again. You see it?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know what that is.
It's maybe one of those UFOs.
It's upsetting me. I got to tell you.
Oh, well, Gail says, "What a fantastic night! Thank you, Lord."
Yeah, fun, right? I mean, he was. God, that's Abe. That's Abe Fogel.
Well, we remember what shows made us laugh.
Yeah.
And he is a standout in our minds.
Now, if you want to laugh, I think next week, I'd like to. I think I'd like to do the Buff edition. If you remember that one, that's one of the funniest stories because it's just so, and you can't even tell the whole story because it would just go on forever because you'd have to be on that tour. I mean, it's so anyway. I hope you'll laugh along with us. I love that story, and I love telling it, but I love listening to it too. And I loved listening to the chat with Abe because, when you're in it, it's hard. I got to watch it, and it was fun for me.
Yeah. Michael Newton, love this show. Four Hearts. And I think Tim McCullen has turned into Yoda. It's over. Late I was.
Oh,
Yoda.
grateful I am.
Oh, well.
Oh.
That's it for our time for tonight.
Oh, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock it is. Go we must.
Go we must.
So we shall.
That's Tim's new nickname is Yoda.
Yoda. Yoda McCullen. Sounds like a country star.
state I was.
I'm going down to Beale Street to see Yoda McCullen. He just got
He's playing at the Bluebird.
just got signed to Skunk Haired Records. We're having too much fun. If I don't see you in the future,
wait. Free for all Friday. Okay.
I had a free for all Thursday.
You know what is important to me? That somebody listens.
So it was important to Miles too.
Okay, so yes. Now?
Now? If I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
God. Where's the theme song? There it is.